MBBS in Andhra Medical College. My parents would not have let me out of this state in the city of destiny. During MBBS, my friends, they used to be very intelligent. Observe them as to how they are speaking. Follow them. Imitate them. And my teachers, some of them I used to always imitate. Gradually I learned English. Later, under a special act in the Parliament in the year 1962. So these are the two institutes of national importance. And sometimes there is a lot of fight between these two institutes saying that who is better, the entire country. So the moment we got a hall ticket, we always used to think a fascinating field at that time. And having done that, gently put it in your mouth. Don't gulp it like a tablet. Chew that with a lot of passion. Bring it to one side of your cheek. Bring it onto your tongue and against your palate. And feel how it tastes on the other side of the cheek. That is mindfulness. At the end of completion of that, you will be so satisfied having consumed that 10 calories, and it does a lot of good for you. Don't think of what is there in physics, your exam the next day. Don't think of your time you are getting late for a particular task that you have to perform later.
Competition like NEET is not just about how much you know, which is the fundamental part, but also about how much you can apply what you know. When I reach out to my students, try to have a session with them, one most common thing which I get from almost every student is, sir, I understand all the concepts which is given there in the book. I understand whatever they teach me in the class. I understand whatever they have taught me in the school. But somehow, while solving the numericals, I am not able to apply the concepts. Yes, I think this is something which is very correctly said by you. That application is a part where the competitive exams focus on, which is not highlighted that much in the school because they have to finish off with the syllabus and their approach is entirely different. In Aakash, we try to coach you, try to train you as to how to apply these concepts. And this is evident from the kind of results which we have been having year after year. Somebody was asking me 2 days back in a media meet, who is your competitor? Who is your main person or main institute with whom you are competing? I told him we actually compete with our previous year's results. Every year, the students make us so proud with such exemplary performance that it is very difficult to match that performance next year. Kids like Mrinal, kids like Tanmay, kids like Kartika, whom you can see here, and made us so proud this year. Last year we had just one student having the perfect score of 720 on 720. This year, Mrinal, Tanmay and Kartika has given us 3 such students. 8 students are in top 10 in all India rank. I think that is a big one.
That how NEET preparation or any competitive exam preparation does not mean letting go of your life for 2 years or more. Like there are so many people who put in more than 2 years. So preparing for an exam doesn't mean making that your life. There is a difference between a job and a life, an exam and a life. There's a difference, and it is important to keep this difference because otherwise it's counterproductive. I have so many of my friends, so many of my batchmates, they have put in more hours than I thought was humanly possible into preparing for exams, and I have great respect for them because that's something I can't even dream of doing, frankly. But what I feel worked for me was allowing myself to have a life in these 2 years. Studying is there, that is one aspect of life, but you're supposed to do other things also. The thing is, people always view sports, music, any interest that you have as either a completely separate thing from exam preparation or as a distraction. It's one of those two. I personally believe that it is able to, that it is possible to reach a point where one complements the other. If you study properly, you know, in whatever hours you put in for study, like I put in 4 hours of self-study, like aside from my college hours, and especially, you know, since I am from the so-called Corona batch, my 12th class, most of it was done online. So because of that, class hours are reduced, because the same amount of time that you spend in the classroom, you can't spend the same amount of time in front of a laptop, and obviously the time that was earlier spent in transport is, I mean, now I have that time for myself. So I use this time for studying and also for my hobbies. If you study properly in whatever time you have devoted to studies, if you study properly and you see results in mock tests that you write, if you see results in those tests, after that if you take a break, you won't feel guilty about it. It will feel like a deserved break. Like this is in no way conflicting with my studies. And if you take a break properly, like if you give some time to your hobbies and your interests and so on and so forth, when you study, you will not feel like studying is the only purpose of your life. Because if it becomes that way, it's a one-track life that you have. Like you get up and the only thing on your agenda for that day is studying. That's not possible. Like I have tried that, I could not do that, because you know, sometimes in a fit of inspiration, I used to put in like so many hours a day. I used to feel very productive. Like I did 5 lessons that day, 6 lessons that day, and I was like, this I need to maintain for the next, you know, this kind of thing happened only close before NEET. So I was like, I maintained this for, you know, the last 2-3 months before NEET, and I aced the exam. 2 days in, I couldn't get out of my bed anymore. It's burnout, it's exhaustion, it's natural. That's what happens when you try and put in those many hours for one thing in your life. So you do that, it's counterproductive. But on the other hand, if you study properly, you don't feel guilty when you're taking a break. And if you have enjoyed your break, then you feel like you're focused, you're refreshed, most importantly, you're happy when you're studying. Happiness is one, you know, important factor or determinant that I feel people tend to, you know, they don't think about that when they think about exam preparation. They overlook that. If you are happy and if you are focused, whatever you have studied, everything you will be able to, whatever you studied, you will be able to reproduce that in the exam. Excuse me. For an example, I had written JEE, the engineering entrance exam. I wrote that. I can't think of one concrete reason why I wrote that. I had no plans of pursuing engineering. I wrote mains because my teachers told me that it would be good practice for NEET, because physics and chemistry are common topics, and because it would give you the hang of what it feels like to write an all India entrance exam. That was the only reason I wrote mains. And as for advanced, I wrote it because I happened to qualify for advanced, and that was after NEET, so I anyway didn't have anything to do with my life. So I thought, okay, fine. My favorite subject is physics of all the three. So I thought, okay, write the exam, see what it feels like. When I wrote both these exams, even KVPY, any exam that I wrote, if you can write it with a calm state of mind, it's amazing actually what a person can do. I wrote JEE with no expectation, no pressure, no burden on me, because it's not what I prepared for. Why would people bother what I got in that exam? But because I was able to go in with that, you know, stress-free mentality, because I was able to write with that, I feel I was able to do fairly well. Like I could do justice to the preparation I had done. So the same thing, if you can manage for NEET, you yourself will be amazed at how much every one of you can do. And this comes from one, confidence in your own topics, which as it is, you know, the teachers at Aakash, if you take their assistance, if you take their help, they'll help you out with that. That is why there is such a great team of teachers here at Aakash. And secondly, if you give time to your hobbies, you'll be happy and you'll be in the right frame of mind. I remember on the day of my exam, I was a little nervous, obviously. But apart from that, I didn't feel like this, crushing weight of an exam on me. I remember when I was writing my board exams in 10th, I did feel a little bit like that. It's truly paralyzing what that can, that stress, that pressure.
హాయ్ వ్యూయర్స్, వైజాగ్ విజన్ ఛానల్ ని సబ్స్క్రైబ్ చేసుకోండి. మా ఛానల్ అందిస్తున్న జాతీయ అంతర్జాతీయ స్థాయి వార్తా విశేషాలు నోటిఫికేషన్స్ కోసం ఇక్కడ కనిపిస్తున్న బెల్ ఐకాన్ ని క్లిక్ చేయండి.